Members of the company, this is your Places call. Places, please. Places for the top of the podcast. Places, please.
Get ready for a behind-the-scenes look at the glitz and not-so-glam of Broadway, education, and everyday life with Uncommon Sense. Join hosts Christopher Smith and Sharna Lopez as they bring you the best stories and shenanigans that seemingly prove how elusive common sense can really be. So take a little time for yourself to hang out with the dynamic duo Charnopher. And no leaving early, because you might just miss that 11 o'clock number.
Stand by music. Music, go.
Uncommon sense, the 11 o'clock number. And we are Charnopher.
And we didn't have anything to say.
Yeah.
Normally I'm like still chattering when it counts in everybody.
Right.
And then today we were prepared, but then I didn't have an opening sentence. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Charno
Hello,
fans.
Charno fans.
Oh, Sharna, do you know what?
What?
You know what this episode is? So it's actually an episode to celebrate because we see some people would think this is your 52nd episode. Why are you celebrating number 52?
Okay.
But do you know what else has 52 in it?
A year, 52 weeks in a year.
52 weeks in a year, which means we have been podcasting for 1 year.
Wait, what? How come you didn't tell me this until we're recording? I could have had a better celebration ready to go. Wait, that's crazy.
Because I literally thought about it right this second.
So, wait, for real? That's funny too.
Yeah.
Both of us are so over worked and pulled in 19 different directions that neither of us thought about that until right now when we're welcoming our Sharna fans onto the podcast episode number 52. I love us.
Yeah.
Wait, so are you saying it was this time of year last year that we did our first episode?
It was
That
this
seems-
time. We technically did it. Our first episode was a Valentine's episode, I believe.
Yes,
so
that's
it
right.
aired-
Does that
Yeah.
that seems like a year ago? Because it was.
Because it was. So,
Wait, that's
yeah.
exciting. I would have worn like a celebration hat or something. Ooh, I have a coffee. It's boring. It's a plain white
mug.
coffee mug. Actually, it's not a plain white coffee mug. On the other side, it says create, and it's very cute. But Christopher and I learned that coffee mugs are not made for filming. They're one-sided, and we need to create a line of double-sided coffee mugs.
To clarify, only Sharna's line of mugs are one-sided because
Please do not do those things when I
Mine-
sip a giant cup of a sip of coffee into my mouth and then you want to say something funny. Absolutely not. Think again. They are just mine. I'm going to go downstairs and find my double-sided ones and make sure they're set aside for podcasting days. God bless us.
great.
Well, today we're going to talk about something super fun, Christopher. And I think so, Charno fans, just so you know, we're both in Tech Week right now for 2 separate shows. If you can hear in my voice, my voice is always raspy, but this is definitely a Tech Week voice. And if you're watching, Christopher and I may look a little more tired than usual. So we were just sort of talking about our tech so far and like things going on. And Christopher, okay, we're going to title this episode, You Had One Job. And I think that even just that title alone, everyone can laugh because everyone has a story and it doesn't matter how old you are or where you work or what you do. You had one job, right? So when we started this whole podcast thing, if you haven't caught on by now, Christopher is much more of the technology oriented human in this endeavor. I've come a long way, Christopher. I will say that, but
You have.
Thank you. But still, there are things where I'm like, Christopher, how do I do this? He helps me. So my one job when we set this up was to write our episode descriptions. And Christopher he created the document. He set it all up. It's all like auto, where when it's done, I put a little checkbox and then it auto populates, and he did all the stuff. And my one job, other than being on the podcast and hopefully entertaining people, is to write the episode descriptions. I don't do it very well. I don't do it very well. And Christopher is so very patient with me. He knows that I have a million things going on, but Christopher has 2 million things going on. And this morning we got on to record, and I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't do the episode description. He's like, it's okay, I did it. You had one job, Sharna. One job.
Sharna, one. Plus the other 1,000 you do.
Yeah, so that's true. It's my one job on top of the other thousands. And thank you for helping me. But I have written most of our descriptions. There's just a few where I'm like,
100%.
Oh, that fell through the cracks. But thank you for helping me.
You are welcome.
So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. And I think we have a really great list that we're going to get to in a little bit. But Christopher and I have been talking a lot recently, like just about, I think, like work and effort in general, like across the board at every age, with our students, with our kids that we work with outside in theater, with adults our age, with people we work with, even when you go places. And this sort of very vast array of effort and energy put into what you're actually being paid to do or you're expected to do. And I think the paid part for me is actually a big key. Like when you're being paid to do a specific job, like if you're a kid and you're like, you're supposed to be doing this, this is you. I have a lot more grace. Or a volunteer, even my volunteers, sometimes I'm like, cool, you're not doing anything you're supposed to do, but you're here and you're trying your best. Or I have volunteers who are doing 90 jobs and they're like total rock stars, right? But it's when you're being paid to do something and you just do not do it, choose to not do it, cannot do it, won't do it. I'm not sure, but it seems to be popping up more and more and more in our lives.
Yeah, and I don't understand it.
I don't either. And it's not like, again, I don't want to focus just on our experiences like with us at work, but even the other day, 2 days in a row, I had to go to the bank. And the completely different experience I had on the first day and the second day with a person who's getting paid the same amount of money to do the same exact job is so bizarre to me, right? The first day I go, this guy is beyond. He's asking me about my day and how, and so welcoming and helping me count this money and going through the thing. And what can I do for you? So wonderful. Anything else I can help you with? Right? Just very accommodating, knew what he was doing, helped me troubleshoot some things. The next day, different person, same exact bank, same exact thing. And this person, I don't even care if it was their first day. No grace for you, because if you can't do it, ask a friend. Right? So like, just so completely incapable, not helpful, grumpy. And I'm like, someone's paying you dollars right now to be here. Let's just hit the baseline of like the job description.
I know.
Oof,
and it's like a weird thing to figure out, because I think when I'm in those moments, I'm 100% on the burn it to the ground feeling, like, what is wrong with you? Get it together. And then when you like step away from it, you're like, well, maybe there's grace for maybe they're having a really hard time in their life. That being said, you still need to do your job. You have to figure out how to make it work and not be a jerk. Make it work. Don't be a jerk.
Actually, that's a sticker we need. That should be, I don't know. Now we have a new title for this episode. I agree. And I do think we notice it a lot with our students, right? I feel like I am much more patient and understanding with like, because I see it with my own kids. Did they have a bad morning? Did they wake up on the wrong side of the bed? Did they have a bad interaction with a friend or a sibling, or something's going on with their parents or their family or what? 100%. Thank you for the reminder, because adults have that too. And adults have those days. And maybe I am just a magnet for experiencing those days with other humans. And maybe it's my job now to just hear a little Christopher on my shoulder every time. Like, Sharnita, they might be having a bad day. And honestly, I actually think I'm pretty patient in the moment. It's not until I leave whatever experience and either you or Jerry or whoever that I'm talking to like has to hear it. Like, I don't think that person knows.
Yeah.
It's you guys that are like, okay, Sharna. Okay. Every time I call customer service, every single time, Jerry always gets the nice person. And then I get the person that like cannot. And I'm like, why me? I'm a magnet. I'm a magnet for those people. And I'm a magnet for baskets, carts at grocery stores that make the squeakiest, loudest sounds and do not work every single time I take a basket at Costco, at Target. It's
what we're learning is it's you, not them.
Yes. Man, now we've turned this episode into reflection upon Sharna. We started out with how I can't do my episode descriptions. Okay, so tell me more, Christopher. Tell me more. Okay, I'm realizing something about myself today. Okay,
but
it's
also,
not them,
Sharna,
it's me.
I still think, but I also think you're still correct. Like I said before, you still got to do your job and don't be a jerk. And just like when you are in customer service, you are in customer service. You are there to serve the customer.
And I think I did customer service for too long. I think maybe that's why, I don't say jaded, but I'm a little less understanding because I was in customer service for a million years and I had a lot of bad days. And I don't think I ever let that. There might have been days that I wasn't as peppy or excited or energetic, but it was never, I would hope, an experience that someone was like, oh, that girl. Do you like your job? Why are you here? You know, like maybe I should just like hug people. Then I'm going to get my booty kicked. What if I just like go around the return counter at Kohl's and I'm like, you need a hug. I'll be like, Elf. Does someone need a hug?
Oh my gosh. So funny. You're like
man.
I can just imagine the headline in today's world. It's like on the front page of the newspaper. Crazy lady goes around hugging employees.
Sued for all sorts of harassment, right? Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I'm glad that we sort of got that out. I think though, it's just, again, it goes back like the customer service thing. Yes. But also, and the ownership, right? So when I didn't do the episode description, I wasn't like, Christopher, I had 100 things to do. Like, whatever. Okay. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, people are going to forget things or you're not going to do things well or whatnot. I think for me, there's a big part in just having that ownership of like, that's on me. I'm so sorry. I forgot or it slipped through the cracks or, you know, like, yes, I had one job. I didn't do it. Forgiveness.
Right.
I'm okay with that. I think it's when people are like, well, I don't know. I don't know how it didn't happen. Oh, I do. You didn't do your job. I do.
Right.
I know.
Like, I know these people, and I've had this experience more times than I can count, where it's like, I really don't understand how it didn't happen. And they're like, well, it just didn't happen. It just didn't, because this person did this, and this person did that, and then this person caused this caused that. I remember telling somebody something like, okay, but I didn't ask for all the lists of reasons why you didn't do your job. I asked why it's not done. I didn't need a list of excuses. I needed an explanation. And some people think that is an explanation, but when you're taking no responsibility in it, it just feels like excuses.
100%. And I think too, any industry where there's pieces to things, right? Like that's why sometimes I'm always like, I just want to like work by myself, which I would hate. As you know, I'm such a people person.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so difficult and frustrating when like, okay, I did my job, Joey did his job, Sally did her job. You know, if you one person don't do what you're supposed to do, it affects everybody else. And I think sometimes I find it to be really selfish of like, okay, whatever, I just didn't do. It's like, but you don't understand how that now affects. It's a ripple effect, right? And I think to like. Can you imagine working in like an operating room and somebody being like, oh, yeah, I forgot to do the anesthesia. Like what the?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't
forgot to
Like,
do
that
the
doesn't-
anesthesia. I love that that's the one you pick. I think that might be the one thing.
Have I told the story about when Jerry had his hand surgery and they shaved his leg?
I don't know.
Have I told you that story?
I don't think so.
Oh, I'm going to tell it. It actually
Okay.
is. You had one job, so it's fine. So when Jerry and I were first together, he cut his hand with a circular saw, really bad.
Yes, you
like cut his
did tell
fingers
me this
essentially
story.
off. It's a whole other podcast. We'll just dedicate it to like the moment Sharna had to search for fingers in sawdust and drive to but that's another time. But when he eventually, I mean, truly, can we make that our next episode? It's a great story.
Okay.
I should actually have Jerry on and we could tell it together. That would be fun. But when he finally was in to get surgery, got in surgery, he was in there for a few hours. And then when he was coming out of surgery, the nurse, she comes up to me. She's like, you can go in and see him, but don't be alarmed. His right leg is shaved. And I was like, what? She said,
Why?
oh yeah, they were prepping the wrong patient. Like he was having hand surgery. So Jerry's leg was shaved, like they were ready to like amputate his right leg or something. You had one job. Do not shave the leg of the man with the hand surgery. That was your one job.
Right. And also, do you know how you can find that answer? It's very simple. There's a chart that is either on the door or at the end of the bed.
There's also a hand with a giant finger hanging off. Like maybe that could be the first sign of
Right.
Anyway, I feel like that's one of the
So
things
funny.
where like at certain levels it's not that big of a deal, but then it is because it's a working machine of multiple people. Okay, before we run
just
out
like
of time,
we talked about last week with the costumes, I'm like, it's one piece. And if the costume people just were like, meh, it's fine, it'll be like, no. Now the whole show's falling apart.
I think sometimes no job is too little, right? So even last night at our tech rehearsal, I had 2 amazing volunteer parents that came in and they just steamed costumes all night long because we have hundreds of kids in this show that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And that's mundane. You're in the back, but someone's got to do it and it's important. And it's a part of like, are you laughing or are you dying?
Dying. Coughing.
Okay.
We're okay.
I'm going to carry on while you get that out of the wrong side.
Carry on.
But it's important, right? And it's like, even if that's your one job, do it well. If your one job is to whatever, right? Do that well. And if you need help, ask for help. If you don't know the answer, that's always my favorite too. Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, it's your job. So if you don't know, you need to go find someone that does know to help you. Yeah. That's how we figure things out. There are lots of things I don't know, but I'm going to find that out for you.
Right.
Okay. Do we want to do this list?
Answer. Oh yeah. But that's the number one answer with anything in customer service. That should be, hello, friend. I don't know the answer, but I'm going to find that out for you right now.
Yeah. And sometimes I wonder, and I guess I could ask if I knew the person well enough, like, what are you thinking? Like, are you just thinking someone else is going to figure it out for you? Like, that's such a defeatist answer, right? Like, or are they worried, like, I'm going to say the wrong thing, or it looks like I don't know what I'm doing? Well, when you say, I don't know, it looks like you don't know what you're doing anyway. Be helpful.
Exactly.
Let me figure that out for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, but I'm going to help you out. Okay. We found this list and it was going around social media a few months ago or a few weeks ago. And I sent it to some coworkers and it just made me chuckle. And so I sent it to Christopher today. And it's 10 names for a workmate, which I think is funny. Workmate, coworker is what we would call it. And now it doesn't have to be your coworker. This could be 10 names for like people in the workforce. It doesn't have to be your coworker. Okay. So the first one, the nickname is Seaweed. And I'm going to have to censor myself for this one, but Seaweed floats around and does nothing all day. Right?
Great.
Floats around, does nothing all day. Seaweed. Somehow is getting paid to do a job, but just sort of goes around doing nothing. I think we all can think of 1 or 2 people in our lives that might have that nickname. And you're kind of like, what do you actually do? Right? Like, what did you accomplish today?
Yeah. What did you do all day?
So funny.
Well, we can ask the next person who is
Yeah.
are not. They are always in the office.
Yep.
Always.
Are nots. I love that. Are not. Always in the office. Never leaving. Always there. Like you arrive, they're there. You're like, did you sleep here?
Right.
You leave, they're there. They're like making dinner in their
But
office. You're like, go home.
But I have to say, like, I feel like that sometimes. I'm like, I live here now. This is where I live.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Okay, number 3 is called the Jet Star. Usually late or doesn't show up at all. That one's funny. It's like a movie star, right? Late, doesn't show up at all.
Shows up with the big dark sunglasses. Don't talk to me.
Right. I'm going to be over here in my
corner. I love the next one.
I know. I'm bummed that you get to say it and I don't, but you should do it. It's your turn. It's your turn.
Shania doesn't impress you much, but it should say that don't impress you much.
That don't impress me much. I love that. The Shania. Yeah, you don't impress me.
But the next one's super funny too.
Yeah. Number 5 is the Tesla. Works for one day and then needs to recharge. So this one actually gives an example. I think Tesla called in sick again today. He did a big half day yesterday, so he needs a long weekend to recover.
Man, like there are so those people.
Yeah.
I know those people.
It's, again, if you know the parameters of what your job is going to be up front and you can't handle it, this is not the job for you, right?
I know.
Tesla works for one day and then is like, I got to take a nap. Oh, man. Oh, the next one.
Well, it's like,
love the next one.
It's like I know people and it's like it's sort of the one thing, but it's like they're always just so overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're literally doing like the most simple of things. How is that overwhelming you? And I know that we are more judgy because we do 9 billion things at a time. So we do get overwhelmed and we look at ourselves and we're like, yes, I'm doing 9 billion things and I'm overwhelmed. You're doing 9 things and you're overwhelmed. Get it together.
Yeah. And I think too, it's a sign of like, I don't know, organization, prioritizing, self-discipline, things like that. Because there are times, this week when things fall through the cracks and you don't write your episode description. And there are times and I think I've said this before, where being a parent, you not only have to worry about your job and you, but your kids. And I'll never forget, on the 100th day of school for Sebastian, they were supposed to bring 100 things, like 100 cotton balls, 100 M&Ms, 100 Legos, 100 whatever. You bring it in a baggie.
Okay.
I totally forgot. And he came home and was like, Mom, everyone had their 100 items and I had to borrow the 100 paper clips from Miss So-and-so. And I cried. I was like, I failed as a parent. It's true. Like when you have 32 chainsaws in the air, something's bound to happen. But when you have one chainsaw, let's get together. Let's get together, Tesla.
Right. Also, but also with that, your reaction to that was you felt terrible and you're like not making a list of 25 excuses why you didn't remember the 100 things.
Yes.
Which I think is the key.
I
really
apologized and, we try better. We try to be better the next time. Okay. Number 6.
Yeah. All right.
I love this one because this is one of my pet peeves. And I should have said this on our pet peeve episode and I did not. You know what's funny? Ever since we've had that episode, I'll find something that drives me nuts. I'm like, why didn't I say that on that episode?
We can do another one.
I know. I think I might need to start making a secondary list. Okay. Number 6.
Yeah.
The coworker that you called Tolkien, who writes really long emails. All you Tolkiens out there. Sharna gets your emails, maybe reads half of them. Like short to the point, bullet points. If it needs that long of an email, we need a meeting. And I guarantee you, we don't need that long of an email. You can definitely shorten it. Here's a question for you, Christopher. I voice text a lot. I'll even voice email sometimes if I'm driving. That's allowed. It's not illegal.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when I could just see somebody being like, don't do that. When you voice things and you're talking like a conversation, it comes out so much more wordy And I think
Yeah.
sometimes that's what happens with people. They're drafting these emails in a voice written note or whatever, where if you actually went back to read it, like it just all needs to get condensed, because when you're reading something, it's not like having a conversation with someone.
No.
Like the
And
bullet
I think
points.
you give them too much credit, because I think most people don't voice their emails. I think that people that write long emails, because I know these people and I've had conversations with some of these people. I'm like, do you understand that your email is a full on novel? It is 25 pages long.
And what do they say?
They are well aware, and that's just how they process. I'm like, that's great, but I don't have time to process in the way you process. I need, like you said, what I want, if it's a lot of information, I want full bullet points.
Yeah.
Even if it's like bullet paragraphs, at least give
Mhm.
me a topic sentence and then carry on, and then next point. You can
Because
flower
don't you feel
language
like
all day long.
it's like their stream of consciousness sometimes. Like that's what I feel when I'm reading it,
Yeah.
where I'm like,
Yeah.
all of that information you just gave that was setting up your grand idea is like a thesis statement in a novel, paragraph essay for your master's degree. Like I don't need that in the email on Tuesday at 3. Like I don't know. And I also wonder if it makes them feel not smarter, but like I am introducing my email and I'm like over here, I got 362 emails, people. So
Yes.
get to the point. I had a student one time tell me, this was a handful of years ago. So honest. It was a student that I had a good relationship with, and I was so appreciative of this student. He came in, it was during a show or whatever, and I had sent a longer email, not nearly as long as some of the ones we get now, but it was longer. And he said, Mrs. Lopez, I was complaining that like kids were not getting the information. And he's like, Mrs. Lopez, kids don't read those emails. He said flat out. He said, I didn't read it. It's too much. It's too long. And I said, okay, sit down. Help me understand what I can do on my end to create my email where you guys are going to read it. And he said, so short. He's like, we would rather get 2 separate emails with like, do this one with this information and do this one. If it's too much and you're scrolling and it's all this stuff. And he said, bullet points are like links.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just you open that email and I'm like, I can't even try to bring this into my brain right now.
I'm going to have to disagree with the 2 emails though. I'm like,
really?
I want 1 email with all the information, because when I go back to look for it, I don't want to be having to look for 5
That's true.
emails with all the information, because I'll be like, oh, I missed this one thing because I forgot one of the 25 emails you sent.
Actually, I agree with you on that. I do think what's great with like emails with our students is through Google Classroom, it keeps it on that landing page.
Yeah.
So they can scroll, it's organized, right? So like 2 different messages through Classroom, but I do agree with emails. I agree with that. Like, don't send me 3 different emails if you can't get it on one.
What about this? Reminds me of, what about the people, and you can tell me where you land on this. There's 2 different types of texters. There's people, especially since the advent of like iMessage and long, like you can send as long as you want, not the 160 characters that we were once limited to, or 129, whatever it was.
Yeah.
They'll send you like, it'll take up your entire iPhone screen on your big brand new iPhone. Or there's the person that sends each like half a sentence as a new thought bubble. Which do you prefer if you had to choose?
Okay. I kind of knew where you're going with it when you started, and I was like trying to gather my opinion, because I think I don't have a preference. If I'm being honest, I don't have a preference.
Okay.
Because I know myself, if I have a long thing that I'm like just yesterday, I sent a super long text to like a couple people going over some stuff, and it was all in one, because that was like a big thought. If I'm having like a conversation with Jerry or even with you, and I'll say one sentence and then I'll think of something else and then I'll think of something else, then that's to me more like a conversation. If I'm like sending out an announcement or like going over something big, like for this week, it was like the schedule for my kids and who's picking them up and who's getting them where and what. And it was like a long text. So I don't know if I have a preference.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a preference?
I think I do. In certain ways, I prefer the longer one, as long as it's well organized. Or if I'm driving and I get like a super long one, I will just select it and be like, voice, please, and then it can read it to me.
Yeah.
But I think I prefer that because the thing I hate is when people are sending like text after text after text, and my phone's like, bzz, 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 bzz.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you stop?
Yeah. I will with group texting. I think it's so funny because for anyone who knows me, I'm a queen of the little response bubble. What do you call them when it's like the heart or the thumbs up?
Yeah,
just like a response.
It's the reactions.
The reactions. That is my jam because I don't need to
Me
write
too.
you like, okay, great, thank
No.
you, I got it. I can just give you thumbs up. But when you're in a group text and everyone is thumbs upping, I'm like, did we all need to do that? I mean, I did it. So yes, I did. And then someone else felt like they needed to. So then I just get beep, beep, beep. And I open it up and I'm like, oh, 5 thumbs up. Okay. But at least it's not, okay, yeah, thank you, got it. Okay, I think it like, I love that. But you know what's funny? I have a friend who thinks that is not rude. That's not the right word. Like, oh, you don't have time to like write me a response? I'm like, my thumbs up. And this is a good friend of mine. So it wasn't like they were annoyed. They were just like, oh yeah, you don't really want to like write a response. I'm like, well, my response would have been okay or thank you. And I feel like my thumbs up or heart should suffice, right?
I agree.
I think everyone's different, I guess.
I have no preference whether you send K, because I'm a very short like K, or I don't even do okay. So I'm like, as long as I know you received the information and you agree with it or disagree with it, then
you don't care.
Great.
I don't really care either.
I don't.
One thing I've tried to do recently, and I've noticed it a lot on the receiving end, I know someone in their brain is like, oh, I need to text Sharna about this. And they'll just out of the blue be like, I don't know, hey, do you have the red dresses for tonight or something, right?
Yeah.
I try to be like, hey, friend, or good morning, or happy Tuesday, because sometimes I think out of the blue, it feels so aggressive. Like, did you put the papers in the thing or whatever? And you're like, oh, hey, Christopher, hey, friend, what's going on? Right? I don't know if other people feel like that, but I do. So then I make sure I try and say like, hey, or good morning, or hi, or some sort of like salutation. So it's not just like, did you do the episode description? I mean, that's not what you said.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? And I'm playing.
Yeah.
You didn't do that. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, like trying to like conversate more. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because I haven't really thought about it, but that's sort of my natural go-to when I haven't spoken to somebody in a while, especially if I haven't spoken to them a while and we're not already like in conversation about something.
Yeah.
I'll always be a, hey, friend, or like you said. And I just feel like that. Yeah, because I can see why you would think it feels abrupt.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Now, if it's somebody
here's where we're at.
like this week, we're in tech and it's all of our teachers. Like a few teachers texted me this morning about things from last night. Like that's like a carryover. But it's the ones like out of the blue that I'm like, oh, what's up?
Yeah.
How? Oh, okay. I'm going to answer that question for you. Yeah. It's silly. Okay. We got to get through the rest of these.
Yes.
Number 7.
I love this next one. It's so funny.
You say it.
Dolphin. Intelligent, but can't speak to humans.
I feel like these middle ones are my favorite. Like I'm really loving these last 3 or 4 that we talked. That is so on point for so many people.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
Whoa, you're so smart and so good at what you're supposed to do. But like when we're trying to like have a sort of meeting or conversation and you're like, now I will tell you, there's not a lot of people like that where we work. Because I feel like most of our people at our job are very outward facing and charismatic because we're at an art school, right? I know there are a couple.
I was dying because that's not what I thought you were going to say. Is like, that's not what our work, because everyone at our work can't do anything. They're not, but they can talk.
No. But I think where we are and the industry we're in, most people are really good at they're people. But there have been places where I go, and again, it's the customer service one where I'm like, you may actually be really, really smart, but why are you in any sort of customer service position if you can't communicate or talk with people? Oh,
yeah.
man.
You go work in the back room by yourself. Where you don't have to interact
I'm
with
sure
humans.
there are at some workplaces so many of the dolphins. The dolphins.
But you know what I don't like is the people that are both not intelligent and can't speak to humans. And then I'm like, go away.
What are you doing? You got to go do your own thing. Do your own thing.
Yeah.
Woo.
Oh my gosh.
Number 8, feta.
Feta. Easily crumbles under pressure.
I love feta cheese. I love feta cheese so much. And when I saw this, I was like, yes, easily crumbles under pressure. Feta. And you know, I think I'm going to actually give grace to some of those people. I think it is a true talent. Like there are a couple people that I've worked with that I'm like, man, I wish because I think I even sometimes am like, oh no, I can feel myself getting a little stressed.
Yeah.
I think there's a big variety, like the people that can hold it together and you're just like, yeah. And then there's the people that one thing happens and they're in the corner in a ball and you're like, dudes, we got a lot to do. You're okay. Right. Like there's that kind of spectrum of stuff. Or like I will say, I see it a lot with my staff. Like there are teachers and I'm not going to name names and it's no one's better than the other. Honestly, there's some teachers that like, I know I can throw a little wrench in something or something doesn't go right and I don't have to worry about them. And then there are some teachers and students that I'm like, okay. I know that if something just doesn't go exactly right or there a little pressure's put on, I've got to be ready to support them. And that's my job. But it's interesting how some people can navigate that better than others. For sure.
Yeah.
Students too. Like we see it a lot during Tech Week when like things change and now they're entering from a different wing and we need to really, where am I now? What am I doing? It's just one, it's a different wing. You're doing the exact same thing. You're just going to take 3 steps upstage. Got it? How do I get here though? The same way you got to the other wing, the exact same way. You're just going to walk. Okay. Do I enter at the same time? Yes. You're just in a different wing, right?
Yes, you do.
Or you have the kid that I'm like, go in the different wing. They're like, okay, cool. Right. Like you have those like something starts to get the pressure and they're like, I got.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, like when we did the prom and we had the student, and I'll name her because a shout out, why not? Sophie Russ, who on a show day was like, oh, I have to play a lead. And by have to, she volunteered because the lead got sick an hour before the show. And she went on and killed it like stone cold, like no problem. Oh,
I'm still bummed
I didn't do a whole show that I've never rehearsed. I know.
And with ease is what I heard, that it was just like, and you know what I think that stems from is a comfortability on the stage and the comfortability with not being perfect. Like she is so talented. And the fact that she could have that genuine humbleness to be like, it's going to be what it is. And I'm here to do it. I'm here. Right. Like if I don't get the right step or I don't, it's okay because I am rocking this like crazy moment in time. Oh, I wish I'd seen that.
She's like the anti-feta.
Yeah. She's a Parmesan.
Yeah. Try to break that.
Parmesan.
I don't know. It's definitely a hard
All right, number
cheese,
9.
though. Number 9. A paper straw works for 2 minutes and then breaks down.
Yep. That is so funny. I hate paper straws. I want to like paper straws because I know they're good for the environment. I end up with paper in my mouth. I'm like, like how is this helpful? No, I'm ingesting paper. Like this is not healthy.
No, absolutely
I will say, I love when Starbucks for the cold drinks, they changed from the straw lids to the sippy lids. Like I'd rather that than a paper straw. Don't give me a paper straw. No, absolutely not.
But also I think Starbucks invented their own, like their straws, I think are like biodegradable or something, but they still feel like real straws. And it's like, why is that not the choice? Everybody get on board.
The paper straw. I mean, the paper straw sort of is like the Tesla, right? It's like a different version of the Tesla. It works for 2 minutes and then breaks down, but it is kind of funny. Like I did this and now I can't do anymore. This last one is funny, but it's also probably one of the most annoying ones. And you know what's interesting? I don't think at our line of work, we get this too often. I've a few times maybe. Number 10, the MasterCard takes credit for other people's work. there are a few occasions where things will happen and I'm like, oh, hey, that was my idea 2 weeks ago. And now, okay, whatever. Right. I don't think it's that aggressive in our industry, but I can imagine in other, or even in the classroom. I guess if we look at it that way, like when we do group work, I'm really clear with my students, like there's a specific part that you are responsible for. And I cannot stand when kids are like, oh, I was part of this group. And I'm like, you did zero. So do not take credit for all of these kids' work. And also, that's just like sad. Like, do you not have the pride enough that you want to do something that you did and that you came up with and that you completed on your own? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I've ever felt that way. Like I want to take credit for someone else's work.
Right.
I don't know.
I agree.
The MasterCard.
But some people
All right, what's your favorite one if you had to pick one out of that list?
Oh,
or you could pick two. You could pick two.
Great.
Or you don't have to if you don't want to.
I think Tesla. And I think Dolphin. I think Tesla and Dolphin.
My gosh, so funny. I think Tolkien for sure. And I think seaweed only because it sort of ties back into you had one job, right? Like, like what were you doing that you didn't do your one job? Like what
you were here for 8 hours. Doing? What did you accomplish?
Yeah. Seaweed and Tolkien. And Tolkien, I think it is a small mission in my life to help people understand we all don't need to read your novel email, and reply all is the worst possible option ever in the entire land of computer emails. Is everyone listening? Reply all needs its own episode. Reply all is not the right choice. Okay.
No, not at all.
You know how many, again, I think it's funny. So it's very specific to what you do and how much you email, right? Like when Jerry first had to be introduced to Google Docs, like when he started wanting to use stuff for coaching and for Little League and things on the side, with his actual job, they don't use Google. And to me, I was like, I live, breathe, sleep, eat Google. I don't understand. Like, it's so what we do all the time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, how do you not know that? So then I'm thinking, maybe some people who reply all, I, on the average, and I'm not lying, probably get close to 300 emails a day, easily, just in my work email.
Yeah.
So when you reply all, my fabulous human friends that are out there in my email realm, now I have 500 emails that are just like, yeah, got it. Thanks, friend. I'll see you there. Like, I don't need that. I don't need that communication. Reply all. Oh, reply all.
It's interesting. It's interesting because I think that there are times for the reply all. And like, if you're having a group conversation, basically, you're like, hey friends, I want to know, let's like try to problem solve this situation.
300%.
People can be like, hey, here's my idea. And everyone's like, oh, great. Oh, I love that. And now, granted, don't send an email that says, I love that. Just send an email that is useful information.
However, Christopher, and I'm going to be pretty specific because it's actually a pretty big ongoing joke at our school. When somebody sends out an email to the entire staff at our school, which I don't know how many hundreds of people that is, we have a big staff, and it says something like, it's an email that should be sent to everybody that says, has anybody seen the 5 black acting boxes that were supposed to be in this theater? Yeah. Do not reply all. Because if you have seen them, reply to the sender and say, yeah, I saw them in this room. Everybody doesn't need to say, no, I haven't seen him. No, I haven't seen him. No, I haven't seen him. Good luck finding your black boxes. No, I haven't seen him. No, I haven't seen him.
No.
Not appropriate.
No.
Not appropriate.
I think the email chain should go like this. Send to all, have you seen the black boxes? All the people that want to reply, send to original sender. Yes, no, maybe so. Then, if everyone wants to be nice, the original sender can send one more email to everyone that says, found, thank you.
That's correct.
So everyone else can stop thinking about it.
It's the same thing with substitutes. So we get, and I think people are starting to catch on with the substitutes. So at our school, if you need a substitute, you send out the message. I think that's great. You're sending it to everybody. And then anyone who wants to sub or has something to say about the situation should only reply to the original sender, and that it is very appreciated
Correct.
when the original sender says sub found. That is the perfect example of the reply
2 emails,
all
not
situation.
25.
And actually, it doesn't even get annoying anymore. It's just funny to me when it starts happening, because then all these teachers are being like, uh-oh, Sharna, reply all. I'm like, yeah, it's happening. I'm just going to like go there. One of our teachers has a funny shirt. I think it just says reply all and like a line through it or something. Hilarious.
Oh,
so
man.
silly.
It's crazy.
Oh, man.
Oh, gosh.
All right, Christopher. Anything
Well,
else about
that
that
was
you had
fun.
one job?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, probably, let's be honest. We think lots of things that, you know, you had one job. There's all those memes all over the internet, like when you're watching and it's like they
Yeah.
put the toilet paper holder so close to something that it like falls in the sink or something like that. And it's like, what? But
you had one job. Hey, but
Yeah.
I do want to finish with, I don't want anybody, and I think that's why we started with me not doing my one job and pointing that out. Like, I never, ever will say that I do all my things all the time
Perfectly.
the best, but I hope that I do it most of the time. And when we don't do it, that we are understanding and say, yeah, that's on us. Like I did this morning when we
Mhm.
got on here. Christopher, is on me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will do better. I'm going to figure that out for you, which just means I
Yeah.
need to do it next time.
right. But that's okay.
Oh, man. Work smarter, not harder, people. We got this.
Also, that's true. Oh, gosh. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Charno fans. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram at Charnopher Official. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss any new episodes. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Check out uncommonpod.com if you want to learn more about us or get some merch. And on that note, Charnopher out.
And happy year anniversary podcast. Woo woo.
Yep.
Cheers.
Episode 52. Here we go. Boom.
All right, now I got to go do work.
This concludes another episode of Uncommon Sense. If you're ready for more of this fresh, hilarious, and unique perspective on the world of entertainment, education, and life, be sure to subscribe right now to catch every episode. If you gasped, laughed out loud, or even snorted, share the show with your friends and aspiring entertainers because, let's be real, sharing is caring. For more Charnopher, tune in to their witty insights by checking out the website uncommonpod.com or connecting on social media. Tune in next week and get the real insider scoop on another episode of Uncommon Sense.